Shalom, shalom, Mr. Brother Quana. I'd like to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakudash. Back today with another lesson. Today's lesson is going to be entitled, They Serve Themselves of Us, right? I know a lot of you probably thinking, like, what you mean? I'm talking about the other nations, right? And this lesson was inspired by, I was just doing, some thinking, just kind of like reflecting on the communities, that we in, and how much of a disadvantage we got in our own communities that we live in. What I mean when I say that is like, okay, so I was just thinking about all the restaurants and stuff, that's around town. Different places might have little clothing stores, little cell phone shops, hair stores for the women, shit like that. And none of it is ran or owned by a so-called black person. None of it. And so that's what I mean when I say they serve themselves, because all of those stores, from the chicken shacks to the to the pizza places, to where you get those greasy ass and nachos and shit from, excuse me, your cigarette stores, serving a little $2-4 cigarettes, to all of that stuff that you can think of, right? That's bad for us, but it's convenient, for our nation. None of it is ran by us, which don't make sense to me, because how you gonna have these stores, right? And how you gonna have these stores, which is in smack dab in the middle of, the so-called blacks, Native American, and Native American and Hispanics neighborhoods, right? Well, over here in America, it's really targeted, towards the so-called blacks, because in our neighborhood, it's majority blacks, you don't really see too many Hispanics or Native American Indians, but I'm speaking for the Israelites, and so, but in particular, Judah, the so-called blacks right now, right? So like you think of all the stores, like I said earlier, the little convenient food places that serve all of that unhealthy, greasy ass food, the hair stores, the little clothing stores, cell phone shops, the little pantries, all of that shit. None of that shit is owned by owned by our people, but they are staying alive because of the business our people bring, and yet they still treat us like shit. And so that's where I got the title from, just dwelling on that and how much of a disadvantage we is when it comes to that. And that's what I mean when I say they serve themselves of us, and the Bible speaks about that. So without further ado, I'm gonna jump into it. I'm gonna start in the book of Jeremiah 25 verse 14, and it says, "For many nations and great kings shall serve themselves of them also, and I will recompense them according to their deeds and according to the works of their hands." So many nations shall serve themselves of them also. Who is it talking about? It's talking about the Israelites, right? And the many nations is all the different nations that I was telling you about. So in my community, we got all the chicken shacks, all the pantries, all the little so-called clothing stores, the cell phone shops, all of these little places, right? They're owned by either Ishmaelites or Moabites, right? The Moabites own the hair stores, and the Ishmaelites own all of the corner stores, right? Which don't make sense to me, because, like, as far as the hair stores go, they selling product that's strictly for our people. You know, they selling hair weave and, you know, hair gel, hair products, nails, you know what I'm saying? All of that stuff that they know that our people, that our women, the so-called Judite women, is obsessed with, right? And they overcharging on that shit, you know what I mean? And then we get in there, you know, they treat us like shit, and we the one bringing them a majority of the business, right? They serving themselves so that they're taking advantage of us, right? And so they target us, right? They target those hair stores, those Moabites, which is the so-called Chinese people. They target the black woman and the black man. You know, they selling the hair, the wave grease for the man, the do-rags, you know what I mean? They selling the hair wigs for the women, the hair gel, the nails, the comb, the brush, all of that shit, and it's targeted for our black women and our children. Who better know who better know the head of a black woman and what she want than a black woman herself, right? But why is it that a Moabite woman or a Moabite family is running a store? Because they serving themselves of us. And the so-called white man, the Edomite, he's giving them that permission, right? He's giving them that you know, he's giving them that opportunity because he knows, right? It's just as long as it's not us, then it don't matter who else get it. Just not us, right? And the same goes for the Ishmaelites. Who the fuck better else know how to fry chicken better than so-called black people? Nobody, man. That's our recipe. They got that recipe from us. But yet, there's no black-owned chicken place around town. I know not at least in my neighborhood, and ain't no other neighborhood neither. And if it is, you know, it ain't really booming like them Ishmaelites is, them so-called Arabs. Shit ain't booming like that, bro. Here go another precept. This is Jeremiah 30, verse 8. And it says, "For it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of them." Now what it's talking about is, you know, our salvation, right? And it says strangers shall no longer serve themselves of them, talking about the Lord's people, you know, the nation of Israel, you know what I mean? But before that day can come, we have to come back into the law, statutes, and commandments of the Lord. You know, speaking of the elect, right? Because all Israel not going to get it on this side, you know. So from there, I want to jump to the book of Psalms, right? And I got a few scriptures in the book of Psalms. So we're going to stay in the book of Psalms. And I'm going to start at chapter 83. And I'm going to start at verse 3. And it says, "They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones." So when it says they have taken crafty counsel against our people, so just like I was speaking on, you know, about all of these corner stores, you know, being set up right in the middle of, you know, the so-called black community, east sides of town, you know, the more poverty-stricken sides of town, you know, which we all know makes up majority in any town, right? State, city, wherever, the poverty-stricken side of that town, you know, consists of most of our people, the so-called blacks, Native American Indians, and the Hispanics. But these are where these stores are being set up at, smack dab in our town. You know what I mean? And now why? Because they know that they put these type of stores in the middle of our communities that we gon' eat that shit up. You know, we gonna bring a lot of money, and on top of that, we are the nation that makes the most, but I mean that makes the less but spends the most. Salaki, right? And so that's crafty counsel. Oh, I'm gonna set up a chicken shop. I know I know black people love chicken. The Ishmaelites. I know black people love chicken. I'm gonna set up a chicken shack right in the middle of the east side of Springfield. The Moabites. I know these black women, they love hair weave and shit. So I'm gonna set up a hair weave store. You know what I mean? That's crafty counsel. They plot on us. You know what I'm saying? And that's what goes on. Right? That's what goes on in our nation, right? Amongst the rest of the nations. Everything they do, everything that they do that could possibly get them ahead is built off the backs of our people. But when we go in their stores, they disrespect us, they treat us bogus. You know what I'm saying? They talk to us like we're not shit because that's what they really think of us. Now, the same way with the police. Just think of the police. They ride around the east side of town all day long. Move out west, Move out west, you know what I'm saying, to the suburbs or some shit like that. You lucky if you see a cop a day. But move out east, where the black people, like the so-called the so-called black people, the Israelite, the nation of Israel, Salaki, you see cops all day long. People pulled over left or right, damn near every corner you turn. Crafty counsel against the hidden ones. Why is it calling us the hidden ones? Because we don't know who we is as a people. We don't know that we the Israelites. We don't know that we the Lord's chosen people. They stripped our heritage from us. We call ourselves African American or black or Mexican or Indians. But really our true name is the Israelites, right? The Hebrew Israelites. That's our true heritage. Right? And how do we learn that? Through the Bible. That's what the Bible gives you. It gives you knowledge, of who you is. And also the rest of the nations as well. The role that everybody play. Verse 4. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Just like I was speaking. They cut us off from being a nation. How? They stripped us of our heritage. Told us we was African Americans. And that we come from Africa, call us so-called black, which we not a black, that's a color. We're brown. Verse 5, they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee. Yeah, they consulted together with the white man, the so-called Edomites, the Ishmaelites, the Moabites, the Hamites, all of these different nations, they consult, they team up with the so-called Edomite, Salaki, the Edomite, the so-called white man, to come against us. Everybody can win except us. As long as we continue to stay on the bottom, then they good. Verse 6, the tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarians, Gabal and Ammon and Amalek, the Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre. Ashur also is joined with them. They have holpen the children of Lot, Selah. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin at the brook of Kishon, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb and like Zeb. Yeah, all their princes and Zebah and of Zalmunna, who said, let us take ourselves the house of the Most High possession. Now, what's the Most High's possession? His people, the nation of Israel. All of those nations that it stated, that it named before, in the previous verses before, when it said, who said, let us take ourselves the houses of the Most High, which is, it says God in possession. It's talking about his people, his land, what I'm saying? All of that. It took, they think it's theirs. They took us, they think we theirs, right? They think we are their property. The land of Israel, our land that the Lord gave us, they think that that's their land. They over there, Verse 13, oh my God, make them like a wheel, as the stubble before the wind, as the fire burneth a wood, and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name, O Lord. Let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yeah, let them be put to shame and perish. It's talking about the rest of the nations it's talking about the rest of the nations for what is done to us, the nation of Israel. You know, let them, like the Lord said, you know, He gonna recompense them. You know, let them feel what we felt. You know, but worse. You know, for all the years and years and years that we had to put up with this shit, man, from these different nations, man. You know, when the Lord comes back, it's gonna be a beautiful thing. You know, I'm tired of seeing our people on the bottom. You know, I want to see us on top like we supposed to be. With that, I'm gonna say, salvation to the elect. Shalom.